The Quiet Hero. The small flat in Hampstead, London, was cluttered but cozy. Papers stacked high on the desk leaned precariously toward a pile of books. Nicholas Winton rubbed his temples, glancing at the letter he'd just received. It was December 1938, and his friends were urging him to cancel his planned ski trip to Switzerland. They had heard whispers from Prague, a desperate plea for help from Jewish families trapped in Czechoslovakia after Hitler's annexation of the Sudetenland. Nick, his friend Martin Blake had written, "I need you here. There's something terrible happening, and we must act quickly." Nicholas wasn't a politician, a diplomat, or even an activist. He was a 29-year-old stockbroker, good at numbers and adept at navigating the London Stock Exchange. But Martin's urgency tugged at him. So, with little hesitation, he cancelled his holiday, packed a suitcase, and took the next train to Prague. The capital, usually bustling with life, now carried an air of tension. It was as though the city held its breath, waiting for the inevitable. Families displaced from German-occupied regions flooded into Prague, their faces etched with fear. Nicholas arrived at a refugee camp to find parents clutching their children, begging anyone who would listen for a way out. "You're British," a man pleaded. "Surely you can help us get our children to safety." Nicholas didn't know what he could do, but he couldn't turn away. Sitting in his modest hotel room that evening, he pulled out a notepad and began sketching a plan. If children could be taken to Britain, they might have a chance to survive. But how could he make this happen? A network of hope. Nicholas's first step was to contact the British government. He was met with bureaucracy and indifference. Refugee policy was rigid, allowing entry only to those with financial sponsors. Nicholas decided to bypass the system. If the government wouldn't act, he would create his own rescue mission. He set up an office in his hotel room, listing every child whose parents had approached him. He contacted British newspapers and charities, pleading for funds and foster families willing to take in refugee children. By sheer determination, he secured permission to transport them under the Kindertransport program, though he would have to raise £50 for each child, a hefty sum in 1938. With the help of volunteers in Prague and London, Nicholas worked tirelessly. He met with terrified parents, documenting their children's details and taking their photographs. Each evening, he meticulously organized these files, sending them to London with requests for sponsorship. The first transport left Prague in March 1939, a train carrying 20 children to London. They arrived to the warm embrace of their foster families, many clutching a small suitcase and a tag with their name and identification number. Word spread, and Nicholas's mission grew. The trains became lifelines, snatching children from the jaws of war. He oversaw 7 transports in total, saving 669 children before the outbreak of World War II closed the borders. Years of silence. When war broke out in September 1939, Nicholas returned to Britain and enlisted in the Royal Air Force. The Kindertransport effort faded into the background as Europe plunged into chaos. After the war, Nicholas married, raised a family, and resumed his quiet life as a stockbroker. He never spoke of what he had done in Prague. For nearly 50 years, his heroism remained a secret. Even his wife, Greta, knew little of his work. It wasn't until 1988, when she stumbled upon an old scrapbook in their attic, that the story came to light. Inside were photographs of children, lists of their names, and letters from grateful parents. Greta urged Nicholas to share his story, but he was reluctant. "It wasn't just me," he insisted. So many others helped. Recognition at last. One day, in 1988, Nicholas sat in the audience of the BBC program That's Life. The host, Esther Ranson, began recounting the tale of an unknown man who had saved hundreds of children during the war. Nicholas shifted uncomfortably in his seat as she revealed a scrapbook, his scrapbook. The host then asked, "Is there anyone in the audience who owes their life to this man?" To Nicholas's astonishment, dozens of people stood up. They were the children he had saved, now adults with families of their own. Tears welled in his eyes as they applauded him, the weight of their gratitude pressing heavily on his shoulders. From that moment, Nicholas Winton's story spread. Dubbed the British Schindler, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 2003. But Nicholas remained humble. "Why is everyone making such a fuss?" he often said. "I just saw what needed to be done and did it." A legacy of compassion. Sir Nicholas Winton passed away in 2015 at the age of 106, leaving behind a legacy of quiet courage. The 669 children he saved grew into thousands of descendants, a living testament to his compassion. His story is a reminder that greatness often lies in the small, unnoticed acts of humanity. Nicholas didn't wait for someone else to act, he became the answer to a desperate call for help. The quiet hero of Hampstead proved that even in the darkest times, one ordinary person can change the course of history. This novella is based on the incredible true story of Sir Nicholas Winton, a humble man whose quiet heroism saved hundreds of children during one of history's darkest chapters.